breaking barriers and bridging the gaps between patients and doctors. Welcome to Brainstorming with the Docs and your co-hosts, Dr. Glenn Harrison and Dr. Kolby Condos.
All right, everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of Brainstorming with the Docs. I'm Dr. Kolby Condos, my co-host, Dr. Glenn Harrison. What's up, bud?
I'm not too much. It's been a long night so far.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to this. I'm always looking forward to our podcast. I think this topic is one of the things that people suffer with forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. I know you have some problems sometimes with this, right?
I do. I do. In fact, you can see my nice windburn going on here, nice and red.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know what else wind stirs up? Pollen. You know what pollen does to me? Kills me, especially grass pollen, which is like we're almost in the thick of it here in Minnesota. In the next couple weeks, it's going to erupt like Mount Vesuvius, and I'm going to swell up like a watermelon on the 4th of July.
Yes, we are talking about allergies, and how it affects so many people's lives. But I think there's so much confusion about allergies.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that when you look at like what seasonal allergies are, a lot of people maybe don't really understand what they are or why they're so severe, or maybe what's going on a physiological level. So we're going to talk about a lot of that stuff today. If this is your first time listening or watching and you get value from the content on this podcast and videocast, hit like and subscribe, turn on notifications, because we're going to continue to roll out new information each and every week, and you never know when that information is going to be pertinent to you. So without further ado, let's talk about something that I am incredibly passionate about. And by passionate, I mean I absolutely hate.
Okay, so seasonal. So you have some seasonal issues. Tell us a little bit about why is it seasonal, and why, what makes it more severe than others?
So seasonal allergies, right? I'm allergic to basically every type of grass known to mankind. I got confirmation of that because I got what's called a skin prick test. And what they do is they like actually scratch your arm with an antigen or with the allergen and see if you react to it immunologically. So yeah, it gets really, really severe in the spring because all the grass is growing. I also, growing up in Wyoming, got it really, really bad when we were cutting hay, because at that point, most of the grass is already budded out and you're cutting it at like 1/3 bloom, because you want to make sure that most of the nutrient is still in the stalk of the grass. But there is some of it that's already flowered out and the pollen's all over the place and you're cutting it and the wind's blowing. So yeah, seasonal allergies for me are when the grass is blooming and there's a lot of pollen in the air. This is just for grass. It can be, anything. It can be individuals are allergic to trees or mold or whatever. Anytime that there's like a bloom or a growth, then that's when you are going to get a concentration of seasonal allergies.
That's right. And some people will have more severe allergies than others at those times of the year, as well as some years might be a little bit, it might be better or worse, even for you. There might be some seasons or some years might be a little bit better or worse. So it can get pretty complicated and people get really frustrated and they don't know how bad it's going to be. There was this lady I worked with in her allergies, spring and fall. Spring were the worst, but it was so bad that she had a hard time to even walk anywhere because she was out of oxygen. Her eyes were drooped down. Her eyes were burning. Her skin was burning. And literally 25 years this was going on. It was really, really severe. And it actually kept getting a little bit worse and a little bit worse. So much so where she had inhalers and all these different, mechanisms, we'll call it strategies to just function in those few months. But outside those months, she wasn't too bad. However, she had many, many other health conditions that contributed to make that allergy worse. And I think that's kind of what I wanted to, was kind of going with that. So what are some pre-existing issues that would enhance seasonal allergies or allergies in general?
Yeah, so I can speak specifically to my case as a sufferer from asthma. That is something that makes my allergies significantly worse. But it can be any sort of autoimmune condition, any sort of underlying inflammatory condition that can make everything more pertinent and more severe. when you look at things like food sensitivities or chemical sensitivities, that can show that you've lost your tolerance to environmental toxins or exposures, antigens. We talked a little bit when we were first brainstorming this idea about like dehydration, and if I'd noticed that mine got significantly worse with dehydration, which I can 100% say I feel like absolute garbage if I'm dehydrated.
I've tried this. Actually, I've had friends. It was in the springtime. They were sneezing and sneezing, and I just gave them a bottle of water, and I said, just drink this whole bottle of water. This will help. And they thought I was crazy. Almost always would there be some temporary relief for a couple hours anyway. So it's bizarre how this happens. But I guess maybe to try to elaborate a little bit more on why an autoimmune condition or a pre-existing immune irritant would aggravate kind of set the person up for their seasonal allergies to be worse. Like the case that I told you, that lady that was having really, really bad spring allergies. Well, she had other health conditions, and most of them were autoimmune, and many food reactivities, things that she didn't know really that were a reaction, but they were aggravating our immune system. So we can think of the immune system kind of getting up to that point, not quite up to where the immune system hits the bell or creates the symptoms. Doesn't get up to the ding, ding, ding point yet, but it's just underneath it. So they have this already, their immune system's ramped up, and then you add, and they don't necessarily feel too bad yet because it's somewhat silent. But then you add the pollen allergy or the environmental allergy or the seasonal allergy, and it puts them over the edge, and then they get this horrendous tidal wave of symptoms, and they blame it. It's just the season. No, they were already primed up pretty high, and that would just put them over the top. And that individual I was mentioning, once we're able to calm down her immune system, she was able to tolerate the season, the spring and fall, like it was the rest of the year. And she thought it was miraculous, and it was, but it was just immunology.
Right. Well, when you think about it, like allergies are just an IgE reaction. You know what I mean? Which is just the production of immunoglobulin E's. Mm-hmm. So it literally is just an immune response to an irritant.
Mm-hmm. And the more irritants, the higher it goes. So immune irritation isn't only the allergy. If someone's suffering with allergies, everyone I've seen in my office, there were all these pre-existing things that could be worked on. And then the seasonal allergy was non-existent or absolutely minimal, and people could tolerate it. So, we talked about anything that's going to heighten up the immune system, foods, chemicals, autoimmune disorders, dehydration. I know it's another thing we talked about is sleep all day, every day. Do you notice that with yourself?
Oh yeah. If I don't sleep, like everything seems worse. And that doesn't just go for my allergies. That's like my asthma and everything else as well. I think that we really overlook sleep. We actually did a podcast on sleep and sleep habits. So if you're interested in that, make sure you listen to that. Because you think about the restorative processes, all of it goes on during sleep. That's when we replenish our energy. That's where we go through, cellular repair. So I think that if you're not getting sleep and you suffer from allergies, then you're doing yourself a great disservice by not getting enough sleep.
That's right. Sleep winds up. Sleep deprivation winds up your immune system. So it's kind of like adding an inflammatory load or an immune irritant load prior to the allergen. Now, I think we kind of already opened up some of this, but what are some strategies to dealing with seasonal allergies?
Sure. So I think that like figuring out what's irritating you, right? So in my case, I did like the skin scratch test, where they expose you to the antigen and see if you have an immune reaction to it locally. You can do a food or like a blood sensitivity test where they check for like immunoglobulins in your blood and see what you're reacting to that way. Those are the two biggest ones I can think of off the top of my head. What about you?
I think it's kind of on the same concept. Like where if your immune system is already, you can't control the season, and you can't control what's in the air, and you can't really control your immune response to it, but you can control the symptoms of your immune response, how severe the immune response is. So look at everything you can control in your life. Look at the sleep that you have, do some proper blood tests, find out, is there a food that's adding to your immune load? I keep using that phrase, but immune irritation might not be obvious. But if you can if you can correct all the immune irritation that you are in control of, the season won't necessarily be nearly as bad. And naturally you save your body, because if you're reacting, just like you, Dr. Kolby, I'm picking you out now. If you're reacting to pollen and mold all the time and everything, It's your body it's like it has a flu. It is fighting for survival. It's literally trying to keep its human alive because it doesn't know any difference. So that's extremely exhausting on the body. That'll aggravate any existing autoimmune condition. And I have some. I know you have one at least.
Yeah, at least that we know of.
Yeah,
Two.
yeah. So I think looking at what can be addressed with regards to immune irritation, and again, that's where we always start talking about labs and finding out these things.
Well, and you might know this too. Like, you think about it. So, a perfect example of this, right? My daughter absolutely loves cats and dogs, but I know 100% that I'm allergic to cats and dogs. That is something I can control. That is something that we do not have at the Condos household, is cats and dogs.
Did you ever tell her she's never getting a cat or a dog?
Yeah, I haven't broke it to her like that mean yet.
Like that? Yeah.
No. I mean, we're all about compromises at the Condos house. I mean,
But
I showed you the chickens.
I was going to
like
say you're not allergic to chickens. Tell the audience about your chickens.
Oh man, we have 3 chickens living in my basement right now. I could show you, but you'd have to see the rest of my basement. They're currently shacked up in my spare room over there. So,
but they follow her around like pets.
They do follow her around. So
takes them for walks.
Yeah.
So anyway, so what else? Yeah, I think we kind of answered that question. What else could someone be reacting to at this? And are we losing tolerance to other things? I think this is important. And I see this once that immune system gets fired up, and there's things that in their environment that they're reacting to, and the pollen season comes in and adds that load up. When their immune system is that hyper reactive, other nasty things can happen. It can start being so wound up that people can start reacting to other things, other foods, other chemicals, also
to themselves,
ourselves, developing autoimmunity. So you never want your immune system spooled up for too long, because it can turn on you or develop other allergens. And I know in clinic we see this all the time. Very few people just have one allergen. If they're going to have some, they're going to have a whole lot. And then these things start to stack like dust. And I've worked with people where it comes to even something more aggressive, more severe, where it's something called what has been coined the phrase multiple chemical hypersensitivity. And that would probably be a great topic, actually. That'd be a big one, but to talk in one of our podcasts. But where these people can't leave their homes, they can't leave a room of their home. And everything they look at, everything they smell, everything they touch, everything they eat, their immune system is going off. And it wasn't the way these people always were. It just got to the point where immune load got so heavy that their immune system just started to go berserk and react to everything and anything. And it gets very, 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 very scary for the individual. And it's a long road to get out of, to slowly and patiently start improving that immune tolerance. So I think if anybody's listening to this and has some seasonal allergies, do not ignore it, because you don't want it to ramp up and get worse and your body to start reacting against yourself. There's ways to manage it. There's more than Benadryl for seasonal allergies, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So what are some natural efforts that people can kind of, if they're not, preferably they're doing testing, finding out where the root of their irritation is. But what are maybe even some supplements that can kind of mitigate some of the symptoms?
Yeah, so things that I use actually for myself, I take glutathione just because I figure, if my immune system's ramped up, there's going to be a lot of free radicals in there. So trying to take care of those with a natural antioxidant, your body actually makes it itself. But when you're under a high load metabolically and you're having a bunch of immune irritation and you have all those free radicals bouncing around, I figure it's going to do myself a favor and just up the dose a little bit. I do take like bioflavonoids. So I take things like resveratrol and turmeric to help with the inflammatory cascade. And then one of the products I really love, there's a couple of them. I really like Histo X is what it's called. That's by Apex Energetics. And then I also like one that is called D-Hist, and that is by, is that Nutridyne?
I've never tried
orthomolecular, maybe.
Okay. That Histo X, kind of a side note here. Do you find there's a loading phase for that?
Yeah, so I actually do dose it a little bit higher as soon as I notice that my allergies are getting a little bit more severe. And then after there's a little bit higher loading phase or dosage phase, then I actually just move to a maintenance phase, and I just continue that throughout the summer. And
Okay.
then I stop it in the fall because I've noticed that my allergies aren't really as significant in Minnesota in the fall.
Yeah, I've only experienced allergies once in my life, and that was seasonal allergies back when we were in school. And I wasn't sleeping, and everything else, every other form of stress was piled up on me. So my inflammatory load was screaming. Could have been anything walking by, and I would have had an irritation to it, including whatever pollen or weed or whatever was floating around in the air there. But Histo-X, I've heard great things about it. I prescribe it, but I'm not able to use it because I don't need it. Hopefully that stays. But yeah, it's a great product, and I see a lot of people, they swear by it. It's hard to keep on the shelf, actually. So,
and if you guys are interested in these products, I think you have an online store on your website, don't you?
mm-hmm. Yeah, there's lots. Yeah, you can access pretty well anything on the website.
That would be an option for you there. Or, if you're close to me or one of my patients or whatever, let me know and I can get it for you as well. Yeah, I think that pretty well wraps it up. So in recap, figure out what's irritating your immune system, manage your immune system, remove irritants, and supplement if you can.
Yeah, and always remember that immune irritation, the allergy that you're experiencing is not solely the pollen or solely this. There's a combined effect of multiple things that are ramping it up. And focus on what you can control and identify what what these objective irritants are, and then make the changes and live through the seasons and enjoy all 4 seasons. Right.
I love it.
All right.
So if you guys got value out of this and you're interested in hearing more, make sure you turn on the notifications, hit like and subscribe, and stay tuned because we're going to continue to break this stuff down each and every week. If you'd like to get a hold of us, our information is, you can actually email us. We have our email for the podcast is info@brainstormingwiththedocs.com. You can find us on our websites. Mine is www.northlakeschiropractic.com, or Dr. Glenn's is www.drgharrison.com. Or stay tuned because we're going to keep rolling it out.
For sure. Well, that was great, Dr. Kolby. I hope you don't have too many allergies this summer and spring. And those chickens, I think you'll be fine with them. I never saw you sneeze when you showed me.
Oh, yeah, man. We'll see. We'll see.
Maybe a guinea pigs in the future for you.
Hey, I'm going to tell you, I might develop allergies to these chickens. I'm just going to tell you that.
All right. Well, you have a good one. I look forward to the next one.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.